So what's happening? Today I'm going to be talking to a sewer, a male sewer from Yorkshire, England, and you'll be hearing some dogs in the background because that's
Oh,
part of the show as
sorry.
well,
Sorry.
sound effects. And we're going to talk about his sewing. He lives in Yorkshire, and it's fun because I met Darren, I think about 5 years ago when I was overseas in England with Bruce, and we met Darren in Brighton. So Darren, hi, big hello from my
Hello.
sewing room to you. And also your handle on Instagram is at @ddnick. And
It is.
it's taken me a while to work out what that name came from. I can't believe it. So tell me how you decided to do your handle as being @ddnick.
Well, my partner's called Nick, and he's always called me DD. So I just putting the two together brings me and Nick together, and most of my handles and all sorts of things are DD Nick or Darren and Nick. So that's how I got there.
And look, I tell you what, it's not hard to remember your handle because I think to myself, Darren, oh, @ddnick. So, but I always call you Darren, so I'm trying to be polite. Now, not only are you a sewer, what other type of work do you do? I think you're a bit of an essential worker. So just so that we have a little bit of a broader outlook of what you do with your day.
So my day job, I am a district nurse up in Yorkshire. I manage a district nursing team of about 25 nurses and healthcares. And as you can imagine, it's very busy at the moment. We're going through some immense changes, so it can be quite stressful at times, which is why I like to do my sewing. It's a bit of an outlet. When I get home from work, I can just forget all about it for a couple of hours, which is absolutely lovely. So, which is why, Anne, I've had to shave my beard off, because when you met me, I've sported a beard for about 20 years now, and I've had to shave it off reluctantly to fit the respirator masks on so it doesn't create any gaps. So it just keeps me safe. But I'm happy to spot the Magnum PI sort of beard and moustache.
Well, Bruce has actually grown a beard because he can't breathe in that.
Has he?
You know, he can't breathe when we walk. And I said to him, "Why are you letting that grow?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Oh, hang on. You're putting a little bit of space. It's causing a nice little gap, which means you don't feel like you're really breathing fibres of fabric." I mean, my goodness, it's hard to walk fast, isn't it, with masks and
it is. And I
on.
wear glasses normally, like you do, Anne, but my glasses steam up all the time, which I get really frustrated with.
Do the masks go right up underneath the glasses? Because if you can get the glass on the top of the mask, you will find it will work. Like if you put, do you have a pipe cleaner or something like that?
Yeah, well, I have actually got some. I bought some off the internet, some proper mask metal tags, and I have made some masks which have got a little bit like a bit of a beak on it and a lip underneath.
Yep.
And those ones don't steam up as much, but it's my work ones as well. They're proper surgical ones, and they steam up quite a lot. But we get through, don't we?
Well, I was just thinking because Bruce being, you know, he works in his mask all the time. He's an essential worker on the tramways, and he's had a lot of, you know, when you've been walking or you've had hot food, that's when the steam comes because it's coming out of your body. So I'm not giving up coffee for anyone, but I did think about steaming in the bathroom, and if you use some kind of an anti-fog type of thing like you would on the mirror or your bathroom glassware, or even what you use on a motorcycle if you have your, you know, those visors over the top.
The visors,
It's got to be able to do something. I mean, just trying to get my head around. So fogging up, you could trip over and land out in the middle of the road, couldn't you, any time?
You could. But I do find out the pattern I found out was just a YouTube clip about making a mask for people with glasses, and I've made a few of those, and it's great. It rarely steams up now, so I think I think we found a bit of a solution for me, which is quite nice.
Well, it's just hard enough wearing it for breathing purposes. Who would have thought we'd ever come to this worldwide?
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's almost like we're living in a dystopian movie that we've seen on TV rather than in real life. It's very surreal.
It is. And I think sewing is something that I'm finding, if I don't put my head down and my tail up and get into producing something and creating, I think I would really be a little bit frazzled, more frazzled than normal. Probably. Do you find that you're reaping the benefits of your sewing?
Yeah, completely. I think that when I've like you, I've got a sewing room. So in our house, one of the bedrooms, it's just all my room, and nobody comes in it without permission because it's my little space, and it's a real. You can immerse yourself in your sewing, can't you? Just for hours and hours. And I go between making some garments to a bit of crafting and doing quite a lot of alterations for other people. So there's always something to do. And I spent almost the whole day yesterday just in my little room. It was a bit dull and drizzly outside and a bit cold. My room's quite bright. And I was doing some alterations for my dad and his wife. And it was just, and I forgot about the rest of the world and what was going on just for that moment in time. And it was lovely.
It really is an incredible thing that I don't know how other people are coping. I'm sure having animals really is a soothing thing as well, like dogs and cats. We just lost a rabbit a few months ago.
Oh.
And I just found that having a pat of just the fur there's something, it's that texture as well, and they never do anything wrong, do they?
No, not at all. I mean, I've got 3 dogs, as you probably heard earlier on, and the dogs get us out 2 or 3 times a day on beautiful walks. We live in a really nice little village surrounded by countryside, and they're really good for your mental health. Just that love you get back from the dogs, and just the plays, the walks, the strokes. It's lovely, and they really provide us with a lot of comfort and joy.
I think the wagging tail is also very delightful, isn't it? It's like someone likes me. I don't have to impress them. I'm here, and that's it. And that's that you don't have to do too much to get that response. And I think that is beautiful to have, because let's face it, partners don't exactly rush at you with open arms when they see you. It's like, have you done this yet? Have you done that? And you think, oh, yes.
It is nice opening the door and having 3 dogs just run at you for a little bit of love and affection. It is very nice.
It is. So tell me, how did you get started sewing? What made you realise you were made to sew?
Well, it was a bit of an accident, really, and I've only been sewing about 6 years, and so I'm quite in my infancy, really, in my journey of sewing compared to a lot of people. And it all started, my husband Nick is a bit whimsical sometimes, and we were in a store, and while we were queuing to pay for what we'd bought, he saw a sewing machine, and he bought it there and then, and it was £30. It was more like a toy one, really. So he started sewing and got really frustrated because he bought this machine. I mean, you can imagine £30, it's not really going to be great quality. So, and he wanted to buy another one, and I'd said, no, you're not having one. You've not used this one enough. You're not spending more money. And then my best friend Jo, her little boy was turning 1. And I didn't just want to go out to the store and buy him something. I wanted to make him something. So I saw the sewing machine and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll make him something. So I bought online a quilting kit to make a little quilt for him. And I used this sewing machine that Nick had bought, and it was just atrocious. I couldn't sew on it. It was awful. So I bought another one. And I'd made this quilt, and it was just, I loved it. I loved the end result. I mean, it came in a little packet I'd never sewn before, and all the squares were cut out for me in the instructions. It was so easy, and she absolutely loved it. And we're 6 years down the line, and she still got it. She still keeps it. It's still on his bed. And it sort of went from there, really. I started to make quilts for people. That's what I started out doing. Especially when people were having babies and they wanted personal gifts. And then from there, I'd invested in a better machine, one a bit fancier. And I just thought, I've got this big machine, maybe I should use it for more than just making quilts. So I thought, right, maybe I should start making some clothes. And I was naive, and I thought I could just do it just like that. I thought it'd be really easy. And I got a little bit frustrated with it. So, and things weren't turning out quite I didn't understand some of the patterns that you buy. They do expect you to have a degree of knowledge, don't they, around sewing terminology? And I really struggled with things like that. So I went on a sewing course down where I used to live, and it was a 10-week course actually, and you did 5 weeks of techniques, and then we did 5 weeks of making a project. So I started making shirts. And it just went from there really, and I really enjoyed it, and I was really fascinated with the whole process. It was like alchemy. You start off with this fabric which is just laid flat, and you do a few stitches here and there, and then before you know it, you've got a garment. And it was just, I really loved that process, and I still do. I don't sew as much as I'd like to, time-wise, working full-time. But I've really enjoyed it, and I'm learning so much all the time, even now, and especially with Instagram.
Yes.
And I've been on other sewing courses. I'm trying to learn new techniques. And where I live now in Yorkshire, there's a school which I've been going to. It's called Jane White, and she's absolutely brilliant. And I was going to sign up to a course with her, which was similar to a City and Guilds. But then the COVID things happened, so it's kind of put it all on hold, really.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy thing. And now you've got that set up. So you've got something to look forward to when it does, and it will change, because time does pass. It will change, and we will be different.
Absolutely.
It's not the end yet. We're not in Armageddon, as Arnie Schwarzenegger would say, would he? Armageddon out of here.
We're not. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not, I'm very positive about, my future sewing. And, Jane, who runs this school, she's starting to do online sessions, which is, we're adapting, aren't we? So, it's not as nice as being in a room full of people sewing and having a cup of tea and biscuits and a gossip, but actually we can, for temporary measure, we can do it online. My dogs are barking. Let me shut this door on.
Oh,
my dogs.
I just saw what kind of a sewing machine you've got. A Juki. Tell me more about that Juki.
Well, I have got this Juki, you can see.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 sewing machines, and I've got my Juki, my industrial one, because I was doing a little bit of upholstery. So when we moved into this house, I was making sort of like, so I did some Roman blinds, some cushions, and I reupholstered our conservatory suite with some new William Morris fabric, because William Morris is one of my favourite types of fabric design designs. So I thought, I need a domestic, an industrial sewing machine. So I bought one, and it doesn't get as much use as I would like, but that's because my favourite sewing machine is a 1930s Pfaff, which I was gifted, and I had a new motor put in it, and it's only a straight stitch machine, but I absolutely love sewing with it. And when I took it to it's a retired sewing machine engineer that does sewing machines and repairs and services from his back garden in his garage. He was saying to me that he loves these. He absolutely loves these, and he pointed out to me that on the little wooden shelf where it's set into, there's some cigarette marks. And he was sort of talking to me about, he wondered who had the machine in there. There was a smoker because they were resting it down while they were sewing. And I love sewing with it. It's such a dream. I've also got a brother. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's the tension, isn't it? You can depend on the tension, you put it in, and it's just doing what it's supposed to do.
It's so robust, and I think the Pfaff machine, the one that I've got that was gifted to me from my stepmother's father, it can penetrate anything. It can get through steel. Because it's all metal. All the parts are metal. It's not plastic. Whereas I have got a brother machine which I absolutely love, but I use that for quilting, maybe in crafting, because it's got all the other stitches on it. Whereas my Pfaff is just a straight stitch machine, but it's a workhorse. It's been going since 1930, so I love it.
Have you got a walking foot?
Not on my Pfaff, no. I have on my brother. I do have a walking foot when I'm quilting. I tend to use the brother machine for the quilting.
I tell you what, this year I've really been working out with the walking foot, and I am in awe of it. that
Oh,
I
yeah.
am so, it's like I've had that for so long sitting in my little, the feet that I haven't touched yet. And there's still about 8 more. And then I found a whole box of overlocker feet. And I thought, oh,
Right.
ruffles and stuff like that. And I thought, and it's time. It's time. What am I waiting for? Do you have an
I've still
overlocker at
got
all?
feet. I do. I have a faff overlocker. It's not great. It's a little bit. It does its job. It does its job absolutely fine. It's one of these ones that jumps around a little bit on the table, so it's got
Yeah.
the suction pads to keep it in place. But it's great for what I use it for. So I don't need to upgrade that or anything at the moment. But I do. So I'm pretty much covered. I've got the industrial, semi-industrial, the embroidery and crafting machine, and my overlocker. So my husband always questions why I need so many machines, but we do. I need them.
Well, it keeps you happy, and that's one thing that.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you want the other
that's a
person to
very
be happy?
well. He's the gardener, so
Yeah.
he's just bought a greenhouse and had a workshop installed. So we both got our little things.
Well, we have to have those things, otherwise we go crazy. I think
Yes.
I think a couple of days ago we had the worst storm that came through. Now, we've got the COVID, we've had the fires, we've had the floods. Can't believe this year.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the water became contaminated, and we were told that
Oh my gosh.
no trees fell down. It was just some whirlwind that came in, and then it was, oh well, don't touch. You got to boil your water. And I thought, and I didn't even blink an eye. And I thought, oh, just another thing this year, just
Yeah.
another thing. And some people had no
Yeah.
electricity, no water, no electricity for 7 days. It's like, oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
goodness. Well, do you know, we had a power cut a couple of nights ago
Yeah,
for 7 hours, and it was nice to start with,
yeah.
but then it got a little bit tedious because we couldn't cook anything, we couldn't do anything. So 7 days is a long time to be without power, isn't it? We take things for granted so much, don't we?
Well, the person who was writing about it in what I was reading, they said they're starting to smell. They can't do
Oh,
anything, and the
oh
food's going
gosh.
off. It's like they need to have some kind of food dropped in. It was up in the country areas, but oh my gosh. Now tell me, are you missing out on ditto fabrics? Because that used to
Oh,
be your little shop.
I love Ditto Fabrics, and I love it because it's so friendly and welcoming. It's not huge, but they do tend to always have what you want, which is great. They have a little bit of everything. The variety is great. And where I live in East Yorkshire. Yorkshire's quite a big county, so we've got
Mm.
north, east, west, and south. So in East Yorkshire, I've really struggled to find fabric shops that are suitable for the things that I need. There is crafting fabric shops,
Mm.
but that's not really what I want for clothes making. They don't do sort of your suitings, your shirtings, your cappuccino type fabrics, which is what I want. And I really struggle in where I am to get the things that I need. So I end up having to either buy online, which is fine at the moment, but I've been quite disappointed with when the fabric's arrived and I've not been able to touch it and see how it drapes and things before I've bought it.
Wow.
So there is about. I know it's very frustrating because as a sewer, I mean, it's going to a fabric shop is just such a joy, isn't it? Just
Oh
to
yes.
walk around, yeah, touch the fabrics, have a little smell of them, a little feel. So I missed not having that. But about an hour away, there is in West Yorkshire. Well, it's a bit longer than an hour, but there is a fabric shop called what's it called? I wrote it down. Fabworks, and it's huge. And
Oh.
I was planning to go there before the lockdown,
Oh.
and someone I follow on Instagram, Linda down in Sussex, Daisy Creates Glam. She's fabulous. I love Linda, but she recommended it. She'd been,
Oh.
and Wendy Ward goes there as well. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she goes there, so as soon as lockdown's lifted a little bit more and it's safer to venture out, I will be going over there to have a little spending spree. I think on fabric.
Absolutely. Look, I've got some fabric. I never buy fabric online, and I shouldn't be even looking because I don't need any. But I got some stretch fabrics, and really, I knew they were polyester, so you know how that's going to feel. It's going to feel all right, but it'll
Yeah,
drape. But the little note was, if you don't like what you have, we'll take it back because they were in 2 metre
Right.
lots, and most people will buy in 2 metre lots. You know,
Yes.
that's not a big deal. Or which is 2 yards, or do you do it meters or
Yes.
yeah?
Meters. Yeah.
And I thought, well, you're not getting this fabric back because I think I might have secured something that was quite lovely. So I'm just going to put that to the side because I want to enjoy the feel of what I might do with
Yeah.
it. And I do love all four. There was something about it, and I only bought the 4 lots because it said it was free postage over $100. I thought, okay, well,
Excellent.
that means I will spend 100.
Yeah.
101.
101. It's I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think most of the sewers that I know have got fabric stashes. So during the lockdown and not really being able to purchase anything other than online, I've gone through the stash and I thought, oh, I didn't realise I had that. I might make something with that. So it's been quite interesting. I've managed to clear a little bit of my stash, which is nice.
Well, Renee Ellis, she was doing a de-stash today. You know, I think you follow her on Instagram.
I do,
And
yes.
she's had some beautiful fabrics. And I thought, oh, I'll just have a look. I won't need, yes, I did get 2 pieces. And I really loved it. But, you know, you've got to be quick and you've got to be staring at it because when they roll it out, if you, what is it? You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then
And I think there's so many.
someone had on the Instagram after someone had put sold, because that's where they it's a really good system. You write sold and then
Okay.
underneath it someone wrote nil, NIL, and I thought, why is everyone writing nil? And I found out, like after I thought about it, next in line. If they change their mind, they can, you know, because if you buy too much, you think
Oh,
I'll let go of a bit. This, I thought next. Why didn't I think of that? There was a few there. I should have put nil next to it, but anyway, um, I'll
but you've
enjoy.
been making lots through the. You've been making lots, haven't you? I've been on your Instagram posts. You've
Yes,
been trying your yellow top, which you did, which I absolutely loved, and the latest one with the stripes and the your fold over elastic, which I know you're a massive fan of. And I didn't even know anything about fold over elastic till I'd seen your posts.
I know. Do you know, I have to laugh because my son said to me the other day, I made a pinafore, and I'm only saying this to you and no one else will know what I'm talking about because they haven't watched me make this yellow
Okay.
jumper. So I have the yellow jumper on and I throw the pinafore on and I thought, I really like that. And I'm just about to go out the door and my son said, you do realise you can't wear that outside? And I'm like, why? You look like a minion. And I thought, you know, I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder it felt like it resonated. I love the Minions, but I thought, oh. So
I
I
do.
quickly changed the jumper and I thought, gee, that was close. Take a photo.
Oh, it would have been quite fun, I think. They might have thought you just a little bit bored during lockdown and decided to dress up for the day.
Oh my gosh, it was so close. And I thought I'll be known as Min otherwise. So I'm not going to be captured in that outfit because once seen, never forgotten, Darren. That's the problem, isn't it?
It's true. It's true. Oh dear.
Now tell me, what do
So,
you miss about Brighton? Because oh my gosh,
oh,
it was such a beautiful little place.
I'm where I live now is where I'm from originally,
Oh,
and I didn't like living here when I was younger and a teenager. I felt it was a quite an oppressive place, which is why I ended up going down south. And I was down in Brighton for 25 years,
wow.
and I absolutely loved it. That's where I met my partner. That's where my career started, and I met some wonderful people. But a few years ago, well, 3 years we've been back in Yorkshire now, and it's a much better place for me now. I really like being back here. And I think what brought us back really was my dad was taken ill. And I just thought, oh, he's 80 years old, there's time's limited. And
Yes.
actually, I don't get to see them very often because of where I live. So that's why we decided to come back up. Well, I decided to come back up here, really, and we've been here for the last 3 years. But I'm very nostalgic about Brighton, and I follow a lot of the Brighton things on Instagram, sort of the lots of people taking beautiful photographs, and I do miss it a lot. I don't regret coming back because I love my life, because you can make your life wherever you live. I can make my life great because I'm with Nick, I'm with the dogs, and I've got, you know, everything I need. My sewing machine, because they come with you.
That's it.
But I do miss it a lot. I do miss it a lot.
Look, I know I checked on the map to see how far up you'd gone from Brighton to
Yes.
Yorkshire. It's really 3.5 hours, but from experience and the roads, oh my gosh, I've looked on the map of England when we were doing our little drive around.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that's not too far on the map. We'll be there in a couple of hours. No. And I remember we were driving around the roundabout, and Bruce, I was navigating, and I have to say, it's not pretty. And Bruce isn't pretty when I'm navigating. But we were going around and around the roundabout, and Bruce said, I'm not turning left and right. You tell me which way I've got to get off, or we're going to keep going around this roundabout. And I thought, do you think I'm pressured now? And I think I just went, now. And it ended up being right. But we were, oh my gosh, it was hideous. It's a long drive. It's not just 3.5 hours. It's actually high pressure, and it's quite a distance.
Well, Nick's dad still lives down in a place called Hastings, which is just along the coast from Brighton. And it takes us 5.5 hours to go down there now. And that is largely because we can't avoid going around the orbital London road. And it's so, from here to there is absolutely fine. It's from the London road down to Hastings, which is twice as long, you know. It's not an appealing journey, but it's, you know, we're going down there in October because it's Nick's dad's 75th birthday, so we're going to surprise him for the weekend, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I might even pop into, while I'm there, if I've got time, because the next town along from Nick's dad's is Rye, and which most people will know. Rye is where Merchant and Mills is. So I will be hopefully sneaking in. Nick doesn't know yet, but I intend to have a little visit to the fabric shop at Merchant and Mills. So I'm looking forward to it.
So what type of fabric do you find you like? Because I know you make men's shirts, but have you?
Yes.
And you like, I would say, that lovely fine cotton where it just feels beautiful on.
Well, I do find of all the cottons that the cotton poplin is the one I find the most comfortable to wear. I like the feel of it, and I like the way it fits. And most of my shirts are either cotton poplin or just 100% cotton, really. And I'm just looking, I do. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I go and the shirting fabric is just so nice. I do like it. And with my t-shirts, I mean, I bought some from Merchant and Mills because I make quite a few t-shirts as well. And Merchant and Mills make do a lovely workwear type range for the men, and I really like that. And I'd made a t-shirt out of a really soft denim, and it was absolutely lovely. I love it. And just different. You know, I use stretch for my t-shirts. I use brushed cotton when I make pajama bottoms. I've started making some chino trousers, and I've using Gabardino. I found that's the nicest one for me. And some nice wool suiting for waistcoats if I'm making waistcoats, and I've used some linen to make a blazer. You know, it's quite. I think we're a little bit limited with the men's choices, although there's nothing to say I couldn't wear what I wanted, really. But that's generally what I use, is the linens, the cotton poplin, and the Gabardino fabrics. Those are the ones that my mainstays, really.
I just love linen, and Sandra Pizzina, she has a way of washing the linen before you cut it. I'll have to send you a copy of it, but Rylas from Rylas, who used to be the Sewing and Design School, which she still is, but she's just Rylas now, changed her name because the account got shut down on etc. But all good, she's there. But she puts in some tips on how to wash linen beforehand, and she gets it from all the different sources. But it really makes such a difference. And I remember in the beginning of the year, my daughter was doing a surprise wedding. I was in on the surprise, and her husband-to-be wanted to do a terracotta linen suit. So he was getting someone to make it for him. what a relief for me. And he was trying to work out what kind of linen to get. And I thought, well, I said, one thing you need to know before you do anything, if you don't do the scrunch test and then see how much crease you're looking at, no matter what you do, some fabric stores have that linen that's been pre-treated, where it's been washed and it's been, you know, decreased with the way they've used their cleaning process.
Yeah.
What a difference. I said, you just don't want to sit down and then look like a bag of creases in the wedding photos. No. But he really did well. The terracotta was beautiful. The suit looked beautiful. And he did such a great job. And he's got similar hair colour to me. And he was saying he was saying to my daughter the other day, oh, you know, you must get your hair colour from Bruce, because Bruce used to be jet black. And I laughed. I thought, this isn't my natural colour. Don't tell, but it's not. I just thought, oh, that's hilarious. But, you know, when I go white grey, I'll let you know, Darren. I'll be the first.
Like me, I'm white grey.
I love it. I love it. You can wear all those bright, vibrant colours. What's your favourite colour?
Favourite colour is probably blue, which is what I've got on now.
Yep.
Blue and green is what I like. I mean, I've got my jacket on today because I'm freezing. It's so cold here at the moment. I think it's August, which is our summer, but it's freezing at the moment. Oh. But I do like all sorts of colours, really. It depends what mood I'm in that day. I don't exclude any particular colour from my wardrobe.
Well, when you've got hair that colour, it's just lovely to see that it's a real vibrancy to have that white hair and, well, grey white. And I just think that Bruce has never looked better with the white hair. The dark hair, he was all right.
Well, I'd like hair as thick as Bruce is, because I'm very thin on top. So he's got a very thick head of hair, hasn't he, as well as Bruce?
Not that thick. It's just the haircut, I think. Don't tell him. He'll kill me. He'll say, what are you telling everyone that for? But it's okay. It's just you, Darren. The secret's out.
Well, I was going to go, me and Nick have looked into hair transplants, but we've decided just to grow old a bit gracefully.
I think it looks good. Men can wear.
Thank you.
If you've turn your head on the side, I've got to see the shape of your head, because that's what that's good. If you had a flat spot, and that may not be so good, because there's nothing worse than the flat head. No, you've got a good shaped head. If you've got a good head, you can wear anything you want. Now, Bruce has been twirling up his moustache with some putty and going in for the, KFC look, the Colonel Sanders.
Has he? Well, finger licking good, which they're not using anymore, are they? Because of the COVID.
No, we can't eat in public. We're lucky if we get a coffee, and we're on stage. Why I'm actually sewing so much at the moment is because there's curfew at 8 o'clock. No one's allowed out, and it's really strict. And I tell you what, there's hefty fines if you don't do what you're told, because we had a second wave come through, and it was, we're still recovering. A lot of aged people homes have been under threat, and a lot of people, it's not good. But so we're all doing what we're told, but it's pretty limiting. But it's for a good cause, and I think I can. Of course.
We can accept a bit of change, can't we, if it's for the greater good, and actually it means we can get back to normal a little bit quicker. So,
how have you found with people just in your community? Are they holding on? Are they, because it's always stiff upper lip with the English. Is it? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, for the main part. I mean, I think people, like everybody in the world now, is getting a little bit frustrated with it all and a bit fed up, and people aren't sticking as rigidly to some of the lockdown measures as they maybe were at the very beginning. And I think some of the reason for that is because we're not seeing as many deaths. We're still seeing a lot of cases, but it's not particularly headline news anymore, whereas we used to have the daily briefings from the government, which we don't seem to have like we were, and we're just not talking about it as much. But a lot, people have been very good, and I think they've been socially distancing quite well. People are wearing masks, people are washing their hands, So those simple measures have really made a difference. However, there is, of course, some people that just, your COVID theorists, conspiracy theorists, refusing to wear masks and abide by the rules. But I think things are improving slightly, and we've got a recovery plan which is a couple of years. It's going to take us to recover fully, if not longer.
Yeah.
But people are getting on with it the best they can.
I don't know what we do.
United the world.
It's lovely to be able to talk without going on such a plane trip to go and see you, Darren.
I know. It's
such a long way. Oh my gosh. I think the amount of times that we have fallen asleep on the freeway after doing the long flight, as much as we tried to have a little nap on the flight, both of us have every single time, whether it was America or England, wherever, dropped, and I go, oh my gosh, I think we both shut our eyes at the same time. We better pull over. Oh my gosh.
You've done such a lot of travelling, haven't you? And to very far-flung places as well. So, and I don't know how you and Bruce do it, because you appear to have so much energy, and you're always so positive and happy about everything. And it's great. It's been great watching your travels on your Instagram posts and your blog and things like that. And of course, it was great for me when you came over to the UK as well, because we got to meet. And actually, when I first met you, I didn't like flying at all. And you said to me one day, do you know, Darren, if your time's up, your time's up. And I thought, and following that, and it always stays with me that, because we went to Canada shortly after that, and I was absolutely fine. And I've said to Nick, because we've never been as far as Australia, and it would be really nice. It would be really nice. So we will be planning that shortly after lockdown has been lifted. Because you're absolutely right. When your time's up, your time's up. And it stays with me, Anne. So I just think, just
do it.
Yeah.
We had 3 people die from that storm on Thursday. There was a child who was out on a walk, and with their parents. The tree just hit him. He died. Someone in a car park in a shopping centre. It wasn't late, so they were doing just a normal thing, and a woman died. I don't know how she died, but it was like, Bruce has had so many near-death experiences just on a push bike.
Has he?
Oh my gosh, I remember one day he came back after he left to go to work, and I used to press his shirts, lovely white shirts and suits, but he would wear his suits on the bike, and then he would ride to the train station, and that would be a bit of exercise, and then train it into the city. But he came back after about 7 minutes. I opened the door, and he's standing in front of me, and he said, would you have a look at my shirt and tell me if there's any dirt on it? And I thought, you haven't come back to complain about my ironing, have you? And he said, oh no, the bike clipped a branch on a tree, and I've been underneath a semi-trailer, but the big truck was stationary because the lights were red, and he realised that no one saw him go straight underneath the truck, and the bike was all crushed. And he came out, and I looked at him and I said, I think you're okay. And he said, oh, well, I'll leave the bike because I can't move it. I'll just walk down to the station and I'll go to work. Okay, see you later. And I thought, after he left, I thought, my goodness, he could have been run over, and there's no way he would have.
Absolutely. Nobody would have known, would they?
He's always got a story. He's like salt and pepper. He's into everything.
I love the interactions between you and Bruce and your Instagram posts together. It's such a joy. There's so much going on in the world that's not great, and I get a real lot of joy just looking at people's really happy posts and what they're doing, and it's great. I love it.
Look, it's so easy to. I have to retrain my mind. Especially with Bruce, because we worked together. He was my boss, as I mentioned earlier, down the track. And he was the most annoying person I've ever worked for. I can't tell you. But I have, over the years, I used to roll my eyes. Like, we've been married 35 years, but I used to roll my eyes quite a large amount. And I used to do it at the kitchen sink when I was cleaning up. And then I thought one day, oh my gosh, one day I could roll my eyes so far. They might fall out and roll down the path because that's how much I was doing it. So I thought I'd better give that up. And then I saw, you know, I was going through this whole thing of who am I? And I saw this lady and this man, I think they must have been in their 80s, walking down the street, and she had her head on his shoulder and they were walking slowly. And I looked at them and I thought, oh, I don't think I'm up to that scratch. I'm not there. So I started to change how I, you know, you always like to bag your partner. I gave up on that. And I found that when he's been really, really, really annoying, I'll bite my tongue and go and do some sewing, and it gets better because I feel as though, well, just let it go.
Yeah.
I know what he's like, and I know I'm annoying, so we just give
We're
each
all
other.
annoying, aren't we? Yeah,
Yes.
we're all annoying at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a case of you're never going to get anyone that is perfect. It's just you've got to look past some. And I think the best part is, like, I think about Nick, and he is happy for you to do some sewing. He's got his gardening happening. He's not saying, well, it was my idea to sew and now you've taken all the, you know, the machines and you wouldn't let me have it. It's just, that's the grace, isn't it? Where that someone lets someone run hard when they're interested in something. And it's better because we feed our souls, don't we?
We do indeed. And in fact, Nick loves the fact that I do this sewing because I can fix his jeans, or I can make that cushion he wants, or I can do this and that. He moans at me all the time because I don't make him any clothes. But I say to him, you buy the fabric and I'll make you something. And he just doesn't buy the fabric. But I will. He's very particular. And me and Nick are both, Nick's 6'2" and I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
So I have problems with buying clothes to fit me. So if I buy a shirt off the rack, it's too long in the arms, which is why I love being able to make my own, because I can make them to fit more comfortably. If Nick buys things off the rack, the arms are too short. So he wants me to make him some things, which I will do, but he just needs to buy the fabric first.
Well, I just know that I think we must be in the same zone, because I'm 5'5" and I have short arms, so I've got to cut off this much every time. And Bruce has got long arms and he's got to add that much. So I don't know what happened. Right. And he's always seeing fabric because we shop together. And he'll say, oh, he'll just put it in the pile. I said, don't put that in the pile. I'm not sewing it. And he's like, no, it's beautiful fabric. And there was some really good sales on in, think of it anyway, in America, somewhere in Seattle. Oh, it'll come. And they have these short lengths of fabric and they pile them all up. Oh, Darren, you would go like a maniac, and it's all the most amazing prices, and it's organza, it's wool, it's stretch, and the most beautiful designer fabrics. Oh my gosh. And I just thought, I'm glad they were all pre-cut, because let's face it, it's tempting to buy more, but if they're cut, grab it.
And that's what I do with fabric. I mean, I'll see fabric and I think, I'll buy that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I will use it eventually. And that's what I do like doing that in the fabric shops. Just even if I don't actually need anything, I know I'll use it later on for something. And with the COVID thing, I've had loads of fat quarters that I bought from a fabric shop, and I've used them to make masks for lots of people. So I knew I'd use them eventually.
Yep, that's the thing, isn't it? I've made quite a few masks, and Bruce has been taking them to work, and there's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't say, I've got a rash from those disposable masks, or I'm so uncomfortable. And Bruce is like, well, Anne's already made some masks. There's the bag. They have to pay though, because there's no way I'm doing that for nothing. And they've got some lovely cottons. I've just used what I've had in my stash, and I thought, no, I'm fine with that. And then you've got, you're still driving trams. You don't want to be thinking your face is driving you nuts. It's so aggravating.
Bruce have to wear a mask all the time? Is at work?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a long
yes.
time, isn't it? I mean, with my job, I can, if I'm in the office, as long as we socially distance, we can remove our masks as long as we're 2 meters apart.
Yeah.
All patient contact, I've got the full mask on, but I think I'd struggle to have a mask on for a full, I don't know how long his shifts are, but for a full shift.
It's real. And the other little tip, I've seen a few people who are struggling when I go past them on the walk, and they'll just be, trying to ease the tension, because some people, the face,
Yeah.
the amount of space you've got between your ear and your face. And I said, well, really, all you need to do is get a little elastic band and take the pressure off your ears. So if you just attach them, or even had elastic, and you take those two pieces, it just pushes it away. And before you know it, you're just not thinking about it.
Because I don't know about you, Anne, but I've got contact lenses in today, but I normally wear glasses. And with the glasses and the straps behind your ear, it gets a bit sore for me. I don't know whether it does for you, but yeah, just taking that a bit of tension off can make it so much more comfortable.
I just use a cross. Let me see if I've got a mask.
Okay.
I'll show you. This was just so good. If you're going to make any masks, I highly recommend it. I just put, just get that off. So I've threaded it through. Can you see that? I've threaded it through there, and I've threaded the other one through the other side. And instead of tying it in a knot for the ear, I've crossed it over. So then you hitch it on your head, and I can tell you, so that's what it looks like when it's, can you see that? It's got a crossover. So it crosses. Oh my gosh, Darren, it's still hard to breathe, but you're not thinking about your ears. So just make the elastic a bit longer.
A bit longer, and you've used one continuous bit of elastic which you threaded through and then tied.
14 inches, right? 14 inches.
Yeah.
That length, and the other one's got 14 inches, and I just do a little knot.
I see now. Yeah.
A little knot like that, where you just tie it through.
Yeah.
So that's it. And so if you need it tighter, you can make it tighter.
You can. Absolutely. Because actually, and also the elastic straps make my ears bend forward, and it makes you. I catch myself in the mirror and I think, oh, I've got my ears are looking a bit odd, but never mind.
So, what width of the elastic do you use on your
Well, so what width? Yeah, you see, that's the other thing. I've got 5mm, which I think was too big.
Yeah, this one's 3mm. Now I know that some elastics you can cut into strips, or you could cut up an old T-shirt.
Yes, yeah, I did think about that actually. I was a bit lazy and I just bought a roll of it, from eBay, I think it was, and it was like a 20-meter roll, only for a few pounds, but actually it's a bit thick. It does, I think I need a thinner one. I think that sounds perfect, that one, because it looks a lot thinner.
But, I would still try doing it a bit longer. So it's 14 inches. Just thread it through the two sides.
Yeah.
And tie a knot so you pull it through, so you don't have to thread it through. So just tie a knot and pull it through. So that'll drag the new one. But honestly, I would try that with the thicker elastic anyway, because it will hold beautifully and your ears will feel beautiful.
Yeah, because they do get sore. So, and it's, I think at work they get sore as well, because even though we have those disposable surgical ones, they're still a bit, and if I've worn a mask all day at work, with the patients I've seen, I want something comfortable for when I nip to the shops to pick up a few bits. So it's all trial and error, isn't it, to see which one is best suitable. So I'll try that later.
Well, it's just even if you put that little extra piece of elastic between the two round circles around your head.
Yeah.
So if you get a piece like that and attach that to the two ear bits and just tie a knot, then you slide it over your head.
Yeah.
That will work.
I think that just, I don't know why I haven't thought of that before. I've just sat here moaning about it and I should have thought about that. I'm going to try that with the mask that I've got.
If I'm not comfortable, Darren, no one's going to be comfortable. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. Well, it's like,
it's a chore. It's a chore, isn't it? Going out anywhere at the moment, you know, with our with the social distancing and the hand washing and the hand gelling in every store you go in, and so I do want it to be a more comfortable experience. So I'm gonna do that before I go out today. Actually,
give it a go. Now, tell me something that you've found over the last, gosh, is it 6 months? Can it really be? Something that you can share with all the sewers that are listening, a word of encouragement or a word of inspiration that you've found you've actually embraced and taken on board. What, because you seem really chirpy and wonderful, and it's hard to believe that there could be anything going on in your country, let alone ours. So what could you share that would help the listeners?
well, do you know what? I think my job has opened my eyes up to a lot of situations, which has just made me think, you know, anything can happen. So you've got to really make the most of what you've got in front of you. So I love spending time with Nick and the dogs and in my sewing room and in the garden and just going for a walk. And I love that all so much more because I've seen so many people that have unfortunately died in the community that aren't going to experience those simple things in life anymore. So it just makes me really grateful for all of those things, the smallest things. Even if it rains, I'm grateful because I can see that rain. And I think that, you know, trying to put that into perspective, the small things a little bit more is what keeps me going. Really,
looking at it, really being
yeah,
in the moment and cherishing what we have.
and loving what I've got, not always thinking about what I haven't got or what I want. It's just loving what I've got around me and you know, revisiting all those things that I love doing at home and spending time. You know, I really appreciate spending time with Nick now. We've both, he's a caretaker at the school, so we've both been at work throughout this whole pandemic. And it's just, you know, it's a real appreciation of like just getting up in the morning and thinking, looking around my house, thinking, oh, I love all these things that I've got in my life, and not really needing more than that at the moment. So
with your staff, you have 20 people that you're in charge of. How do you keep their spirits up? How do you do that?
I think it has been difficult because we've been, you know, as nurses we caregive, so we support our nurses through really an unprecedented time where they're really anxious and they're quite poorly. But actually, what's different about this is that we also have the same fears and anxieties as what our patients are having. And with that, all of the team that I work with have been so supportive because actually we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time, so we can completely support each other, have the same lived experience. And actually, what I've been doing at work, they're all a bit fed up, and it's all, you know, it's been relentless. We've been working 100% full stop for the last few months, and I had a big stash of fat quarters, so I made every single member of my team a little zipper pouch with their names embroidered on them, and filled it with chocolates and gin and tonic, and just, I know they couldn't drink it at work, but they were allowed to enjoy it at home. And it's just, because I had lots of time on my hands, because at weekends at the height of lockdown we couldn't go out, so I thought I'm going to use all this fabric. So I made them all. I made 30 little zipper pouches, embroidered their names on all of them. And it was just little things, little gestures like that make all the difference.
And
so I put my sewing skills.
I just think when you've done that, how good did you feel giving them a part of your heart?
Yeah, and people were so grateful, you know, and it wasn't a lot to me, but because it didn't take me long to do them, and I enjoyed doing them, so it was never a chore. But it was just, you know, I work for an organisation where we can't reward people financially for the job they're doing other than their salaries. We don't, you know, it's a health organisation. So my appreciation was just to say, I've made these for all of you to say how much I really appreciate the hard work you've done for me.
Wow.
And they make my job easy. They make my job a lot easier because they're such a good team. They've worked together a long time. They're so supportive. And, you know, at one time I had 11 nurses who were half the team who were off with either COVID positive or symptoms. And we just pulled together, we pulled through, and it was great. I've never worked in such a team where they they've got each other's backs. So
Wow.
you know, and I hope that that's what I bring to the team. I hope that they know I've got their back. So it's sort of like, you know, they know I'm there if they need me.
And you know, there's so many workplaces or even families where there's sabotage going on, these sneak attacks where you, it's a terrible thing. I don't know how people can exist, but you know, we've all been in workplaces where that's happened. But when you actually work in a place that's not like that and that people do have your backs, what an incredible time. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It certainly got us through. I mean, things have calmed down quite a lot for us now at work. We've put some measures in place, and we're starting to get our new normal is starting to fall into place. So it's almost this feeling is that we're nursing very similar to what we were before the pandemic. We just did different measures in, but during the height of it, when nobody knew how to deal with it and what to do, and you know, when we were just people were dying every day and there were so many people and we were all scared, but the team just recognized that in each other, and some days I was having a better day than others, so I could support those people that are having a bad day and vice versa, and it just seemed to work really well. And I do feel very privileged and lucky to work in a team where we can recognize each other, you know, for good days and bad days and support each other.
And I think that's causing a ripple effect too for the patients. They feel it, and that eases the problem, because we shouldn't be adding to it. And
no,
yeah,
you're absolutely right. And what was hard, you know, when I look after patients in their own home, and these are the patients that were the most isolated and most vulnerable, because a lot of them were on their own and they were housebound. So the only contacts they were having were through us. And, you know, we were trying to give patients that care in the safest possible way and reassure them and try and support them the best we could. But also, we were also seeking that support and reassurance ourselves, because we were just as affected. And that has been quite unique. I've never been in that situation throughout my nursing career, and I don't think anybody has. You know, we had the threats of pandemics before with the swine flu and the bird flu, but it didn't scale up to this level. So it has been tough, and I feel like it could have been a lot tougher if it wasn't such a solid team that I was in part of. So,
and look, Melbourne, Victoria, we're the state that's not doing very well at all out of all of Australia.
I see it a bit on the news.
We're the poor cousin, so to speak, which is really, everyone's having fun. They're going out to the beach, and we're not allowed to. But I just think, no, I've still got my sewing, and that helps me, because I'm thinking I wouldn't sit out on the beach. I'd take all day to make an outfit to go to the beach, and by the time I got to the beach, the sun would be gone.
Yeah. And it's so nice. I mean, I've got a room which is a dedicated sewing room, and I know a lot of sewers that I know don't have that, and they found it a bit of a pain where they've got to set up their sewing station to put it all away again. But for me, I can have a project on the go, 2 or 3, and I can come in to my sewing room and do a couple of hours on that one, and the next day a couple of hours on that one. And I feel so lucky to have this space to be able to do that.
It's really heaven on earth, isn't it? A little piece of heaven on earth. Oh my gosh. Well, I've so enjoyed catching up with you, Darren. It's just been an absolute wonderful. I just can't even say how I feel as if I'm sitting right next to you. The only thing I'm missing is the coffee or the champagne.
Well, I did have a cup of tea, look, but I let it go cold because we were talking, which is great. And it is really nice. Technology is fantastic. I don't understand it, but you're thousands of miles away, and it's made my morning this morning. So it's been such a joy.
I really enjoyed it, and we'll catch up another time soon. And I'll get Bruce to come in and get Nick in, because if you're coming out to Australia, he'll have to give you the limo ride on the tram, won't he?
Absolutely, and that is our plan. It's once the COVID's over. I mean, I'm 50 this year. Me and Nick are celebrating 20 years together, and we did plan something. We were going to plan something this year, but we can't now for obvious reasons. So next year, Nick's 50, so we think hopefully, we will be able to. And in Australia and Melbourne in particular, because you're there, Jen's there, and there's a few other sewers that I follow on Instagram, and I think you've got such a lovely sewing community in Melbourne.
Oh, we have.
And Yeah, and I'm really keen to come. So watch this space. You never know. I might be behind the camera sitting side by side next time, Anne.
Yes. And maybe come when Frocktails is on as well. Won't that be lovely?
Yeah, I absolutely will. That's my plan. So I've got something to look forward to.
Well, lovely catching up with you today. It's just been an absolute delight,
And you.
Darren. Say hi
It's a
to Nick,
pleasure, Anne.
and
Will you say hi to Bruce for me?
I will. I'll let him know he's got to reserve the front seats for 2 visitors.
Yes, definitely. Well, you take really good care, and I will see you on Instagram.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Darren. Appreciate you joining
pleasure.
us. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, thanks for joining me today. The bobbin's empty. Darren's out to walk out in the countryside, DD Nick. And it's just been so wonderful to find out what's going on the other side of the world. So you've got some fabric, sew the fabric that you have, make the choices for the fabric and the styles that suit you, your body, your colouring, and then you're going to love what you make and wear it. And your sewing will go from good to great. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like. Follow me on Instagram at Anne Whalley. Follow my blog, annewhalley.com, and YouTube. That's where I'm at right now. And I'd love you to join me again, because we're going to be talking to a lot of sewers from all around the world, from my sewing room to theirs. See you again.